What's going on, guys? So, obviously you read the title of the video, and it comes as kind of a shock. Gus, if you don't know, Gus is my dog. He's an English Bulldog, and I've had him for 9.5 years. And today we had to put him to sleep. I guess before the video, I just want to say that I'm currently intoxicated. I've been drinking quite a bit today. It's something I don't normally do, but today it's just, it's overwhelming, and I just want to be kind of numb. It's the only legal way that I'm allowed to be numb today, is by drinking a bunch of beer, to be honest. I'm a 12-pack into Coors Light and probably half of a 12-pack into Bud Light lemonade, which is not that bad. Today I had to put Gus down, and it was the hardest thing I've ever had to do in my entire life. I probably shouldn't be making this video like this, but yesterday was the first time I haven't uploaded a video in probably 10 years. I can't remember a time when I didn't upload a video. Even the times where I was sick. If I was deathly ill, I would make a text video that was 10 seconds long, just saying, hey, I'm sick, I'm sorry, there's no video today. But that was still a video. I pride myself in posting a video every single day. I really enjoy what I do here on YouTube, and I post videos every single day. You never know what it's going to be. Sometimes it's knife related, sometimes it might be a Zippo. You never really know what it's going to be. But today is just some sad news. Some really, really sad news. And I wanted to kind of tell you the story. And I do apologize if I slur my words or, repeat myself or something like that. Like I said, I'm ashamed of myself because, drinking alcohol is not the solution. It doesn't solve a problem. But right now, it's about the best I can do to kind of cope with this situation. I really don't, I don't drink that much. But this is just hard. This is the hardest thing I think I've ever gone through in my entire life. To be honest, I've had some hard times. I've not talked to my family, for the better part of a year, maybe 2 years. I just had no contact with my family whatsoever. That was rough. That was really, really bad. But losing my dog today was like losing my child. And I just want to make this video to explain what happened. I wanted to make an update video. Gus was supposed to have surgery. He had a tumor in the back of his leg, and because of the coronavirus, that surgery, the lumpectomy to remove his surgery, or to remove his tumor, was postponed. We discovered that it was a tumor in January, and he had an appointment to have it removed, to have surgery. It was basically a lump in the back of his leg, and it was going to be taken out. It was a pretty straightforward surgery, and that was supposed to happen in February. And February came around, February 12th, And because of the coronavirus and everything, it had to get pushed back to March. And March came around and it got pushed back again. And the day before his surgery, we brought him into the veterinarian's office because he was having some problems where he was having accidents. He was peeing in his bed. And we were really concerned about it. And I went outside and I watched him pee, and he had some blood in his urine. And I was really worried about it. We kind of thought it was a UTI. And the day before his surgery, we brought him into the veterinarian's office, and they did some testing and stuff. And he had a lot of blood in his urine, and they did in fact determine that he did have a UTI. And because of the coronavirus, we had to sit behind the veterinarian's office. So, where we normally would go in, we couldn't go in that door anymore. No one was allowed in the building. So the parking lot behind the building, they numbered the spots. So what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to call the phone number and say, hey, I'm in spot 4 or 10 or whatever it happens to be. And they would send a nurse out and, get your dog and bring the dog in or whatever. Anyway, the day before his surgery, we went to get him checked up because he was having a lot of blood in his urine and stuff. And the doctor came out and she said, yes, Gus does have a UTI. But in addition to his UTI, in addition to his tumor that was in his leg, she did a ultrasound and found that he had fluid around his heart. And she believed that there was a tumor that was around his heart as well. And that's something that's not, it's not something that you can do anything about. The best scenario is that they drain the fluid. So there was fluid that was building up around his heart, and they could go in and try to drain the fluid, but there's always a chance they could pierce the heart and he could die in surgery. And this was, devastating news to us. Absolutely devastating. I thought we would get an antibiotic for the UTI, and then he would have his surgery for the lumpectomy and have his tumor removed from his leg, and that would be it. We really thought that, and when the doctor came out, the doctor personally talked to us and said, he does have a UTI, and we're going to, give him an antibiotic so he feels a little bit more comfortable and stuff, because it hurts to urinate, it hurts to go to the bathroom and stuff. But when she came out and she was talking to us, and she said, I did this ultrasound, and there's this, there's fluid around his heart. And she told us that he had about a couple weeks to live. It broke my heart. I felt pain, an actual pain in my chest. I felt my heart break. And we got this horrible news that Gus was at the end of his time, And when you have a pet, you understand. There's an understanding there that, you'll probably outlive your pet. Whether it be a cat or a dog or a fish or a iguana, it doesn't really matter. Most times, that you're going to have to deal with that. When they get old and they get sick and they die, you're going to have to deal with that, and that's very hard. You create a bond with your pets. But when that doctor came out, and it's so screwed up because of the coronavirus. Everything's so different. We're sitting there in our car in a marked number spot, waiting for nurses and doctors to come out to talk to us through the window, through masks. And it's a very, very unique situation that no one could have ever predicted. And she came out, and I could see her eyes tear up. I knew something was wrong. This doctor, this veterinarian has always loved Gus. I'm sure she loves all our patients and stuff, but she has a special bond with Gus. And when she came out and her eyes balled up, and she told us what was going on, it was a bombshell. And that you know what, we're going to get through this UTI, and we're going to make Gus feel a little bit more comfortable, and we're going to deal with this, And she basically said that because of the fluid around his heart and stuff, that he doesn't have very long to live, and there was no sense in really doing the surgery on his tumor that was in his leg. And of course, being the parent of a pet, you hope for the best, and you see the positive in things. You don't focus on the negatives. You focus on the possibilities. And I thought that Gus would have an okay time getting through the UTI. He was urinating blood, and it was a mess. And he was uncomfortable, and he lost his appetite, and he just wasn't himself. And I'm sorry. This is just so hard, This is my baby, I don't have kids. This is the closest thing I've ever had to a child. And it's just really hard to deal with it. We got an antibiotic for Gus, and he was just very uncomfortable every single day. He had, because there was fluid around his heart from the tumor, he was having labored breathing, so he was breathing heavily, and he was just uncomfortable. He wasn't himself. He didn't want to play. He didn't want to eat. He just wanted to sleep. And even when he was sleeping, he'd wake up and have some hard time breathing and stuff. And last night, he had a seizure, and I didn't know it was a seizure at the time. I thought it was a heart attack or something. We were watching TV, and he was with us, and all of a sudden, his body went really, really stiff. And his eyes rolled back in his head, and he started convulsing. And all I can think was that he was having a heart attack and that he was dying. And so I got on the ground because he was sitting in his bed. And I just held him in my arms, and Christina came over and we held him. We later found out that it was a seizure, and then it's because he was probably not getting enough oxygen because of the pressure around his heart. And we made a decision that his quality of life went down. And we talked to the doctor, the veterinarian, and we decided the next day that we would put him to sleep. And we didn't want him to suffer. It's extremely, extremely hard decision. But ultimately, we wanted him to not be in pain. And to keep him around would be just selfish on our part. We wanted him around. But he wasn't himself, He wasn't himself anymore. And the veterinarian, even though she wasn't supposed to be at the vet's office or anything, she made an exception, and she went in, and even though during the coronavirus and stuff no one's allowed in the veterinarian's office, she made an exception for us because she loved Gus. She had a special bond with him. I mean, she sees hundreds and hundreds of animals. But she did have a special bond with Gus. And she made an exception, and she allowed Christine and I to go in there and be with him and hold him. Sorry. I'm sorry. She let us be with him for his final moments. And now he's gone. You know, I'm just, it's been like such an emotional roller coaster. I can't even begin to explain what this is like. I mean, some of you guys watching, you've lost pets before. You know, some of you watching has lost children, family members. You know, I have no grandparents left. I mean, both my grandfathers died when I was alive. Both my grandmothers died. I have no grandparents, and experiencing that was traumatic, and it was very, very sad. But nothing I've ever experienced in my entire life has been like this. It hurts so much. It's like a giant chunk of my heart was taken out of my body. And it's just a dog, you know. But that dog was my baby. That was my child. That was my life. That was everything. Before I met Christina, that's all I had. You know, that's all I had was my dog. And then Christina came in my life and she became everything. But we were a trio. It was the three of us. It was me and my wife and my dog. And it's just so, so hard. I know that a lot of you guys watching can experience or have experienced this before. You know, you lost a pet, and it's very, very difficult. And you know, trying to step back from the situation, I understand that. You know, it's very, very common. You know, when you have a dog or a cat or something like that, or some kind of a pet, you know, you usually outlive it. Their lifespan is not that long. For English Bulldogs, it's between like 8 and 12 years or something, or 8 and 13 years. It's really, really rare to have a bulldog, an English Bulldog, live past like 14 or 15. But, you know, Gus was 9.5 years old. That's how long he lived, 9.5 years old. And even though he had problems, even though he had these medical issues and stuff, he never seemed old to me. He never seemed like an old dog, you know. He had some gray whiskers and stuff, and he was getting older. But I never in a million years could have seen this coming. And all the time that I've known him, all these years, every now and again, you know, someone asks how old is Gus, you know? And I'd say, hey, he's 6, or he's 7, or he's 8, or he's 9. And I just thought I had more time. You know, I really did. And I thought that he lived to be 15 years old. And I never in a million years imagined that he'd be gone. And it's just so, so tough. You know, I have to say that I completely envy these different societies that celebrate death. You know, it's not in America. It's in different tribes and all these places around the world where when someone dies, they're not sad. They're not sitting around at a funeral and sobbing and crying. They're celebrating. You know, and that seems weird. It seems weird to an American culture. Why would you celebrate this? This is horribly sad. But they're not sad that someone died. They're celebrating their life. And I envy that because I really, really wish in the bottom of my heart that I could do that. I wish I could sit back and not cry. I can laugh and smile and think about the million times that I had a really, really fun time with Gus. But I can't because I'm American. And when people die and pets die, it's sad. It's depressing. That's all I can focus on is how sad it is. You know, but I have to count my blessings, and I have to say that knowing he was sick, and me and Christina, after seeing his seizure, knowing that this is never, ever going to be better for him, to end his suffering was the hardest choice I've ever made in my entire life. And it really, really was the best thing for him. You know, I don't want him to have to experience that again. I don't want him to have to experience pain and suffering. He was never, ever going to get better. With a tumor around the heart in a dog, I mean, they can come in and they can try to drain the fluid and stuff like that. There's always a chance they could pierce the heart and the dog dies. But to think that, you know, it can get worse, I mean, I have no regrets. Christine and I have no regrets. We did the very best thing we could possibly do for him. You know, but to sit there and hold him in my arms and look him in the eyes. And to just feel that last breath. It is today the very hardest time I've had my entire life. I've never had to deal with anything like that. But I know that it's all over and there's no more suffering for him. And I'm sorry if this is like, you know, for the people who watch the channel for a long time, I'm sorry if this is like an emotional video and stuff, and I don't mean it to be like it is. He was my baby. He was my little boy. I will always miss him. And he was just the best dog in the world. And he was my everything. And Christine and I will slowly cope. And as I've said, you know, to family members, telling them the news, the only cure for this is time. That's it. As time goes on, it'll hurt a little bit less every single day. But it'll always hurt. And he will always be missed. I just wanted to make this video to let everyone know, because I know there's a lot of you guys out there that love Gus. You've seen the videos of Gus, and he has such a personality, and I just wanted to let you know. That's all. It's extremely, extremely sad. But I have to tell you that this was the most peaceful thing, the best case scenario. Keeping him going, not making this decision would have been selfish. I think as a pet owner, you want to have your pets around as long as possible, right? But you don't want them to be in pain. This was quite literally the hardest decision I've ever made in my life. And I made it with Christina, and I believe we made the right decision. Gus left this world with very minimal pain, and it only would have been worse for him. It's just, it's hard, you know. This happened today. This happened this morning. You know, last night after his seizure, Christine and I didn't sleep for a second. We were up all night long. We wanted him to come up in the bed with us and sleep with us in the bed, but he was too tired, having a hard time breathing, and he spent the night on the couch. And it killed me, you know. And he's been having accidents, you know, urinating in his bed and stuff, and he's been embarrassed about it, and it's just all these different things that are happening to him. It's not just the, you know, the tumor in his leg, the tumor on his heart, the pressure. He had extra fluid around his heart. It was going back into his stomach, you know. It was just a really, really bad situation, and I could tell in his eyes that he was embarrassed. It was just so hard. I have to tell you that this morning, before we went to the veterinarian's office, Gus had the most amazing breakfast, and he really, really enjoyed it. He's had a protein allergy for probably 2 years now, where he couldn't have any kind of meat. So he's having specialized food, like medicated food, and he couldn't have any kind of meat or anything. So knowing that what was going to happen, this morning we gave him McDonald's. We went to McDonald's and we got him some sausage patties and some bacon and hash browns, and God, he was eating that up because he has not had an appetite in probably a week. He just does not want to eat his food, and seeing him just scarf up that meat and loving it, it was just a really, really nice moment to have with him. So his last meal was very, very nice. It's just, oh my God, it's just so hard. It's so hard dealing with this. Like, I know that there's literally millions of people who have lost pets, and it's sad. It's always sad. But, you know, like, I'm extra emotional. I mean, right now, with the coronavirus going on, I just know people are losing family members. And as much as I love my dog, I mean, he was my dog. He was my baby. He was my son. To know that people are losing people every single day and not be able to be with them, it's just incredibly sad. Mothers and fathers and brothers and sisters and aunts and uncles and grandparents, and all I can say is that Gus went out very, very peacefully. He fell asleep, and that is it. We chose to have him cremated. We're going to get his ashes. We're going to bury the ashes, and he will always be with us. Gus is a love of my life. Besides Christina, besides my wife, he is my baby. He is my son. And I will always love him. Always. No matter what. But he's in a better place now. And he has no more pain. And that's what we and Christina were most worried about. It's the quality of life. We could have kept him around for another week or two. Maybe a month. Who knows? But for what? For us, really. It's a selfishness. For us to be able to see him. But he was not happy. He was not himself. He wouldn't play with his toys. He wouldn't eat his food. He wouldn't do anything. He just wanted to sleep. He just wanted to be comfortable. Anyway, I'm sorry to drag this video on so long. And I'm sorry if, like I said, I slurred my words or something. It's just, it's so wrong to turn to drugs or alcohol or something when you're having, you know, pain. You should obviously deal with it sober. But today was just overwhelming. Christine and I have been crying nonstop for probably a week. We experienced a seizure last night. It was like, I can't explain it. I can't. I thought he was having a heart attack. I thought he was dying right there, and then there in my arms. It's just overwhelming. It really is an overwhelming, just emotions. It's crazy. But I just want to thank everyone for the comments and stuff. I honestly, it's the first video in 10 plus years that I'm not going to read the comments. I'm not. You can write whatever you want, but I'm not going to read them because, number one, it's too emotional. I'm just going to start crying again. I can't. You could write the comments and stuff and, you know, write how you feel and things, but this is the first video in 10 years that I'm not going to read them because it's too much. It's too much for me. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry for that because you deserve for me to read the comments. I just can't. I have a couple of videos that I pre-recorded last week that I'm going to post in the next couple of days, and then as I can start to cope, I'm going to start making videos again. You know, I won't miss a beat. It was just yesterday. It was too much. It was way too much. I couldn't post a video. But you'll start to see videos again, and like I said, I will deal with it in the best way I possibly can. And you'll start to see the regular videos that you're used to. Gus will always be in all of our hearts. And like I said, it's very, very difficult. But instead of mourning his death, the best possible thing that we can all do is celebrate his life, because he was the most loved dog ever. And like I said, I have no regrets. He lived a wonderful, wonderful life. It's just extremely sad that it's over. Thank you so much to all of you out there. I mean it from the bottom of my heart. A lot of people loved Gus. Thank you. Thank you for that. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. I know this is horrible, horrible news, and that's very hard to do. But I appreciate everyone watching. I will see you tomorrow with a brand new video. Take care, guys.